Alright, so I figured I might as well do a video on this. I'll probably reshoot this video next year. I'll try growing this a lot earlier if I get time. I'm really not sure how next year's growing season is going to be for me because I'm going to probably be moving and selling the house again, and so I'm not sure what's going on. But nevertheless, I still have some of these growing here, and I planted them a little later than I should have, but nonetheless they're here. And if you plant them early enough, you'll get pretty good sized heads on them. They kind of form like a leaf type lettuce head, and they don't. The only way you're going to get that to form like a head that looks like the radicchios that you see in the store is you got to cover them up and everything. You got to. There's a certain way to get them to head, and you really got to kind of give them good attention, good light, and everything, and they will form a head. I've had these head for me in the past, so they will do it. It just doesn't do it all the time. It's kind of like fennel is like that. Sometimes they get fennels to form heads. Sometimes fennels don't form heads. But this is called the Rossa Di Verona Dragon Radicchio. And this is pretty much the kind of radicchio in generally that you're going to see in a store that have those radicchio heads. So if you go to the food store, you generally will see not this necessarily this exact variety, but you'll see varieties very similar to this. And there's a lot of commercial varieties available now that you can buy those perfect heads and use the radicchio like that, you know, get them nice. Or you can let them just leaf like this, which is, it's going to give you the same effect as the radicchios that are form the heads. The heads are just nicer because you can slice them like lettuce. You can make like coleslaws with them and stuff. Whereas this one here is more like a salad type. You really wouldn't want to apply it the same way as the ones that form the perfect heads. But these will head eventually. If you do it right, you'll get them to head. So you can do it. Now, these are small because they were planted late in the season, and I don't think they're going to winter over. They might, but I'm pretty confident they're not going to make the winter. If I planted them a month earlier, I probably have a lot bigger, a lot better heads. But these can get quite big. They can get the size of a lettuce, you know, generally the size of a head of lettuce. That's how big they get. You can get them where they range dark. Now, this is the primary color you want to look for when you're growing this type or this variety of radicchio. You want that dark color. But if they don't get enough sunlight and are kind of shaded out a little bit, they're going to have a lot of green in them. Don't let that worry you. If you want them darker, just put them in direct sunlight. And you can see the bottom of the leaf here is green, and the top of the leaf is dark red, maroon. Wherever the sunlight's getting to it, see on this side where the sun gets to it, that leaf is nice and dark red. So it needs sunlight to get that pigment in their leaves. So keep that in mind. And so let's pick one of these leaves and give it a taste test. And here's a leaf. Now, if you're not somebody who's used to eating radicchio, kind of build your flavor profile up to it because it's not lettuce, but it's not as harsh in contrast of flavor as, say, mustard would be. So mustard is a very big difference between mustard and this. So this, if you could eat mustard, you can easily eat this radicchio, no problem. All right, so just to give you an idea. So let's turn it around and give it a taste test. All right, guys, so here it is. Here's a radicchio leaf. Now, unfortunately, like I said earlier, I didn't get any heads from this, but you can get the radicchio to head. But you don't have to. Don't feel like, you know, you failed at growing it because you didn't get heads. You can eat these leaves just as easy as you can eat the heads. Now, if you were planning on making like a radicchio type of coleslaw or something to that effect, then you would want the head because the head's going to be, it's going to have a stronger flavor in that sense. Whereas the leaf gets a lot of chlorophyll in it, and it's going to be more lettucey type of an effect, whereas the head's going to be more astringent. There's a purpose to the radicchios, why they grow them that way, and the certain cooking, Italian cooking and foods and stuff like that, that's where it applies. But for the standard gardener, you don't necessarily have to do it, though you can get it to head. It's not that difficult. You just got to give it a lot of space, a lot of direct sunlight, and keep the insects off it, and you'll do pretty good. So let's give it a bite. Okay, like I just done a review on the chicory, and I want to try to describe the flavor to you, but it's a little bit difficult if you've never eaten any form of chicory or radicchio or anything like that. And there's a certain type of pungency to it that you need to acquire a taste for. If you're not used to it, you may not like it because of that reason. If you've ever eaten wormwood or Artemisium absinthium, it's a wild herb. A lot of people just call it wormwood or absinthe or something like that. You know what that flavor tastes like. It has that type of aftertaste that kind of hangs around in your mouth. It almost tastes like it a little bit, but it's not. I sometimes refer to that aftertaste flavor thing a little bit to like anise or licorice. If you ever grown licorice and eat raw licorice root, it doesn't taste like licorice. A lot of people confuse what I say when I say this. It doesn't taste like licorice, but if you've ever eaten raw licorice root, it has a certain effect in your mouth. It has a certain weird type of an effect. When you eat the raw licorice that way, it does something to you. And this kind of has that effect. It doesn't get you high. I'm not saying it gets you high, but I'm saying it does have like an effect in your mouth. And there's really nothing else to really around for me to describe what that effect is. If you've never tried wormwood, if you've never eaten raw licorice, if you've never eaten raw anise, or anything like that, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But I have an acquired taste for that kind of thing. So for me, it doesn't really bother me. But some people might be a little, disturbed by it because it's not something you're used to putting in your mouth and eating. Can you put it in salads? Absolutely. I like that pungency flavor. I can put a little less vinegar on my salad and just kind of add more of this pungency to it, and I'll get a similar effect like what vinegar would do in your salad without the vinegar. Though I do like to add vinegar anyway, but it just has a certain type of flavor to it that you would have to know what I'm talking about. Now, when you first eat it and chew it up, it's just like eating regular leaf lettuce, and that aftertaste starts to come out after you chew it up for a while. Let me take one more bite. Something else I could probably relate it to. Did you ever eat escarole? If you don't know what I'm talking about with escarole, you can pretty much buy escarole in the store. Buy a little escarole, add it to your salad. It's very tangy and pungent. It's almost kind of like dandelion a little bit. A lot of people like that flavor. I like that flavor. I mean, I prefer to eat it with salads and stuff, but some people don't. So that's just something you're going to have to play with and find out where you're at with your flavor profile. But this kind of falls into that escarole, chicory type flavors. It's in that neighborhood of flavor profile. I mean, there's no other way I can compare it to anything that you would even understand if you've never tried escarole, chicory, radicchio, any of those type of things. You're not going to understand it. But it does kind of taste a little bit like escarole. It has that aftertaste that kind of hangs around in your mouth like licorice root would. If you eat raw licorice root, it kind of has that effect on you. It tastes a lot like that. But it's nice. I've acquired a taste for that throughout the years, so I'm used to it. But again, if you're not used to it, you need to acquire that taste. You might like it the first time you eat it. You might be one of those like me. You might like it. Or you might need to build that flavor up. It's nothing like eating mustard, for example. If you eat real raw mustard, it's very hard to eat raw mustard. It's very strong in flavor. This is not that bad. This is a different type of an effect. It's not as spicy. It's not spicy really at all. It's not spicy like mustard. But it does have a taste that you need to familiarize yourself with before you can know how to apply it in your cooking and stuff like that. So that's it. That was just a quick review on the Rossa Di Verona Dragon Radicchio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.